Yo, yo, yo. I've got coffee brewing, but I'm just going to start and then I'll get up in a minute and get some coffee. How's it going? How you doing? We'll probably we'll start looking at what is all this stuff? Hang on here. Work in progress stream stuff, and then we'll get into talking about Substance Painter. Just because Corey just got a hold of the student license. And then, yeah. And then I'll just be in Substance Designer for the rest of the stream. Hello, Governor. Okay, I think we were right around here. Bow bow. God, my hair needs to grow. It's too short. I got it cut too short. Can't handle it. Alright, what's up, guys? Okay, so we looked at Chris's stuff here. Chris R. Christopher Radsby. This stuff is super cool. I'm gonna wait to comment on it for a little while, just because he's still cranking away on it. We looked at the axe. I don't know if we looked at it on. So this axe was made by. I'm like, hang on, let me look. Face Melt. It's too many of you guys posting in here now. Okay, so this axe was made by Face Melt. He, as far as I remember, he's doing it all Modo, and then he's texturing in Substance. Anywho, looking at this model, we were commenting on how the leather maybe is a bit too saturated. This middle area is a bit too smooth and shiny. And then the metal, like, needs that, see how it's kind of reflective there? Like, just needs that kind of wear along this point here. This area is looking pretty good. I'd like to see, like, maybe, like, an interaction between this strap and this one, right around here. Quixel for texturing? Alright, so he's using Quixel for texturing. So yeah, it's just tuning now. You're just doing tuning stuff, like the saturation, roughness maps, things like that. Overall, though, like, the bake came out really nice. Like, the normal and the low poly is really good. We looked at Corey's scene. Corey, I think, I don't know if you check the past VOD. I still need to push the other one to YouTube. We need to talk about like how modular pieces fit together, and then good ways to hide seams like this area here. Like, how do we make it so you don't have to see stuff like that? And then, like, use of geometry, and then how you should be mapping modular pieces with your textures. And yeah, this is when I asked you, like, how you were mapping in your materials in Unreal. So we'll look at this shortly after I go over the rest of this stuff. So Ben, of course, being a badass, working on his substance stuff. The only thing I would say about this texture, this is really good stuff, is maybe a slight shift in color variation, because, like, the sediment layers that happen in the real world, when you get, like, a face of a mountain or, like, a giant hill that shears off and you see the layering, they tend to have, and I think you're doing it, but it's just really subtle, different color values going on. And sometimes there even, or most times, there's even a layer that's made out of something completely, like, fractured versus the rest. But other than that, dude, I was looking at it earlier today at work, and it's just, man, it's crazy. It looks good. It looks real good. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, there's my. So this mesh, well, it doesn't look like much right now. is using material blending in Unreal with material functions. So once I get that all set up and looking good, we will go through and I'll show you guys how to make full materials blending with other full materials, like having all of their maps together, and then how they interact with each other through masks. So I'm just mask exporting from Substance Painter. I just remember this picture, and then everyone's like, bacon! It looks like bacon! We've got Tony here. Tony's working on, I think it's a city under a waterfall. Toltic, what's going on? Yeah, Reeds, that's going to be... So, the reason I'm waiting is because I'm learning it myself. It's a little... It's not confusing. It's just trying to figure out where all the stuff is that I need and how they interact when they connect with nodes. Make sure I get it right before I show you guys, so I don't stumble over my words. As far as this scene goes, this is pretty cool. I feel like here I'm gonna get the pen out. Epic pen. Gonna get the tablet. How are you guys doing? Things good? Tomorrow's Friday. You stoked? I'm stoked. Alright. Come on, mouse. There we go. Okay. Epic burn. Oh no. Damn you, Windows. Is this? No. No. Oh, now it's drawing. Thanks. Okay, so as far as... Oh, wow, it doesn't let me... Okay, that's what's going on. Hang on. I'm like, why? Why? There we go. I'm just using this. What the heck is going on? Hey Ben. Hey Ben, Alright, so. Is this gonna work? Yes. Yes. You always have trouble with that pen tool. It's like, so it's not interacting with Discord very well, which is really weird. So this this piece here is pretty solid. Taking an approach more like building a chunk and then modularly placing it around will work wonders for you, and you can concentrate on making just that material look really good. So it's kind of like building a modular cliff wall thing. And then you need to make sure, like, I guess the waterfall is probably about this wide. This is just me assuming, because if the city needs to be behind a waterfall, this is all like water just streaming down. We're just doing that. Yeah, cool. If that's the case, then I would really concentrate on like the way that this is shaped up top to explain the erosion that happens from water flowing over an edge, and then just clean up this edge leading into the city. Dude, you can't even delete in this tool. This is no idea. Can't even undo. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if that helps much. No, you missed 11 minutes, Choppy. Why? So concentrate on maybe making this like a couple pieces, maybe like 2 rock pieces, or a rock piece that like you build it and one side is so different from the other side that you can just turn it around and use it in a bunch of different ways in order to build this whole surface here. It's like now that I've drawn over everything, like here's a close-up of the city too, which is really cool. It's like this thing is like, it looks like it's a giant gate, so maybe the waterfall is maybe only that wide. This is cool. This looks like a little, this is like the poor district. It's like where all the shitty small housing is. It's either that or crops, or it's a giant graveyard. This Andrew's working on a grenade, which looks pretty cool. I'll wait to comment on that. I mean, it looks like a grenade. This might be a little thin. The little clip. Yeah, so like when you see the city, then it makes total sense as to like the scale of everything, right? Andrew, nice. So, trying to think, where is that? What is that on? One way to get away from this is just realize that this shape, you don't actually have to model that into it if you don't want. You can float the mesh. So like, I'll show you. Yeah, look, for some reason this is always up front. Back and top heart. Oh, nice. Here, let me look at this real quick. So, this shape you don't necessarily have to model into the shape. I don't know the rest of the scene or the piece. God, this is weird that that's just in front like that. So you can do stuff like so you can float it in front, right? So let's say this is the piece. Obviously, if you this is a good way to check actually. So from side view, obviously it's there, right? From the front view of it, if you turn on rendering, so you can see it. The only way you're seeing this shape, this is really important for normal maps. The only reason you're seeing this shape is because it's casting that ambient occlusion. So if you think about baking this as a normal map, you'll actually not really get anything. You might get a little bit of detail right on the edge here, but everything's gonna look flat in the normal map. That's why it's always really important to just even a little bit bevel. So if you bevel like that, so you can see that detail more, that edge right there. You're actually seeing that. The more that edge is emphasized, the more you see. Hang on here. Because now you have a normal coming out this way. You have one coming out this way. This one will get lost in the normal bake. You won't see that because it's 90-degree angle to the camera that's rendering the normal. So you'll only see this face, and this face, and this one. This and this. So the only details you'll really see, right? So if you want to, I mean, usually I wouldn't say modify it much to fix that. Just kind of just do stuff like that. So now you're actually seeing that detail. That'll bake out. That'll bake out how you expect it. It's the spoon from the right side of the first pick. confused. Anywho. Dude, weird. It's like it's set to always in front or something. So what I was trying to explain is you can just float these in front. You don't need to model it in. So like I can hit tab on that. Start adding loops. If we want to get the turbo smooth look. Nice thing is if you're in Modo, you don't have to do this. So I'll show you if you so if I add this, right, go the other way, add this one, and then in here add these. So now you have this shape, right? I added extra loops I didn't need there just now, and that's cool. You'll get a good normal from that. Look how soft, and I wonder if I can to really drive it home. Let's see if I can change the render output. Geometric normal? Let me see. Oh, wow, no. But we can use this as an example, even though this is completely, don't look at the colors at all. You can see like right on the edge there, that's where the detail ends. So when lighting goes across this, you'll just see what we're seeing here. You won't see the sides. So one good way to do it is to just float this type of stuff. And even if it's out here, see how it's really far out? As long as there's no AO being baked, the normal ends up looking the same. It's just a matter of when you bake, you need to have your cage go out this far, so it's good to have it as close as possible. But if you're running in Modo, oops, give me a second, I'm just going to delete these extra loops. Wait, what? There we go. Okay, so if you're running in Modo, you can actually just do that bevel effect in your shader, which is your rounded edge width. Just turn on the render again. So you've got this, right? Just turn this up until we get the bevel we want. So if I zoom in real close, you can see it. Should probably just rotate this around. Get some lighting on it. So there's beveling happening on this edges now. And the beveling even goes into this face. If you want to get rid of that, you just give this piece its own material and go into that material, give it a bevel as well, but then make it round same surfaces only, so it only looks at things with the same material. So then you go to the other one, you do the same thing, and now it won't bevel between the two, so you get individual interaction, and then you still get your nice bevels. Nice thing about this is now you can duplicate those two meshes and unwrap that, give it a different material so it doesn't have the bevel on that piece, and then use this piece as your Highpoly. And this detail will actually bake out, which is really good. Saves so much time. All right, where are we at on the Discord? So these top areas are looking pretty cool. I mean, I guess you could approach it this way, but I strongly suggest adding other details into it because you're just not going to get enough resolution in the normal map. Like the normal map, leave it where it's at, right? And then you need to tile like the diffuse and tile the roughness to match. But I highly suggest adding a bunch of small pieces. Okay, so Reed's asking, say I use a rounded edge shader, I get the normals nice, but say I want the other baked maps in Substance, like AO, which uses the Highpoly. So that's where you'll run into a problem. But you can bake your AO in Modo too. Like we'll just do it. So okay, so I've got this mesh, right? When I render full, we got the bevel going on. If you go to the shading tab up here, we've got, you saw me switch this geometric normal. Let's go ambient occlusion and final color, and then we just need to add a render output. Like you can render your roughness as well. Shading, we need, like, where is it? I always forget where it's at. It's not basic, geometry, shading normal? I think it's shading normal. So we've got these three renders, right? These three render layers. If you go render, well, if you hit F10, you get your render with your nice bevels and stuff. This render completes. If you switch to these other modes, you see there's the ambient occlusion pass, and then shaded normal. That is not what we're looking for. I'll have to find the normal output that's correct for this. Ben might know. Ben's in chat. Yeah, Toltec, I think that doing that will really help your scene along. But I mean, you could also not worry about it right now and just kind of get everything to a similar level of quality and then go back and start doing that pass. Geometric normals? Is that? No, that can't be. Ben, when you're rendering output for normals in Modo, do you remember what it is? So we got shading normal output. So we got our ambient occlusion. Matt would probably know. I forgot because I haven't been baking in here in ages. Object coordinates? Can't be. Nope. Shading, I think. Shading normal. See, I tried geometric normal and shading normal. I do, so with the stuff that I've been doing with the temple scene, I've been doing all that baking in Substance Painter. Surface shading normal, I think. I'm like looking for it now. Basic channel. Ambient occlusion. Dude, where the heck is it? Oh, I'm like so confused now. Because these are just render outputs. I mean, if you go... Okay, if we just go all out on it. But, if you just go to this one and we go add textures, image map, new image, and then say that it's called normal. Color space, you want none. So this right here, you would right click and you go bake for engine, and then you can bake for UE4. And that will bake out the normal for the mesh. But when you do that same bake, when you do like render output, render from objects to render outputs, this you can pick your cage and stuff, and you say your distance. We'll go into this stuff more in detail in another episode. But basically, because you have your ambient occlusion and your final color in here, you'll also use your final color to do material IDs, and then your ambient occlusion layer will give you your ambient occlusion. So you can bake out all that stuff if you need. So you can bake all the stuff in here. Like Matthew O'Halloran, he bakes all of his stuff in Modo now. Check Discord. Technical. Surface shading. Okay. Right, and that's only if you do like a so see, this says diffuse color. You have to right click on this after you, so if you add image, new image, save it where you want it, call it whatever you want, then right click on normal color, and then you need to go to shading info or surface shading, and then normal. So you do that, and then you can bake it. Yeah, so Ben, what I was trying to find is the outputs on top, not a bitmap, because the bitmap's more straightforward. I figured there was a normal output render. I'm assuming there is. Anywho, that's when exporting a texture in Substance, should I always set it to 16-bit or 16-bit for sure? Well, no. Exporting a texture from Substance, yeah, you just 8-bit, because I mean, because 16-bit's only if you have like heavy gradients and you're building height map information off of it. But ask Ben to make sure, because I'm pretty positive it's just that. 16 will be more smooth, is also more expensive. Most of the time it's 8-bit. But if you're doing like height maps for terrain and you're going to be doing displacement in the engine that you're bringing this height map into, 16-bit for sure. Okay, so now that we've gotten through that stuff, let me see what else we got here. So for anyone who's just tuning in, we're going through the Discord that I run. We're just going through all of your guys' stuff that you've posted in the Whip Art channel. If you want to be a part of that and you're not in there, you can join through that. And just lurk. You don't even have to say anything. Just chill. You can just chill. But yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, Ben, you're right on that. So if you select like Targa, I think it's gonna be 8-bit. Okay. So because Corey got he just got a hold of Substance Painter, we're just gonna kind of run through Substance Painter and just what it is, what it looks like, where things are at, stuff like that. I actually, now that this is being prompting me for ages, I'm just gonna install the update real quick. How much polys should your scene be for size? Toltec, it really depends on how close you're gonna be. You shouldn't worry about it to a certain extent, but at the same time, you should worry about it at least a little bit. Like, don't go crazy, right? Like right now, your cliffside has a lot of geometry that isn't really doing anything other than being there. Like all of the extra loops, you could remove a bunch of those loops and not notice any visual difference other than possibly on the silhouette edge. Ben, what do you usually pick? Do you PNG or Targa? Because Unreal also accepts PSDs now. So it's not really too... Update is almost done downloading. Mainly I want to get it so that the shelf looks the way that you are seeing it. Corey. 404 Volt, how you doing? Welcome. Daisy Rocks, how's it going? Dazzo, nice to see you. Made992, welcome to the stream. PC Zach, hello. Ryrib. Yeah, I usually use Targa myself also, unless it's 16-bit. And 16-bit I've only used when I'm dealing with terrain. If I'm bringing in a height map from terrain. Alright, install this really fast. Morning. Good morning. Once we get through Substance Painter, I'm going to go grab my coffee, and then I'll come back, and then we're just going to be in the designer for the rest of the stream. Yeah, Ben, you're probably right. That's probably gone away. I mean, evening. I mean, hello. The Nightbot did an auto message, and it was read to me, so I figured that it was because my name was in it. So I just almost read, like what you see. All right, here we go. So we've got Substance Painter 2. Awesome, awesome program. We'll run through some of this stuff. Things you should ignore that are in here is this export masks button and this export masks tab here. It does not come stock with Painter. So we'll just go and we'll look at, I don't know, we'll look at this mesh. Give me a sec here. So by default, I believe the UI starts out like this. All the windows are terrible, so like if you click on there, you can just move it around and put it wherever you want. Usually I put the log here on top of the shelf so I can just hide it. So basic stuff. We're gonna go through that now. So you have your material window, which usually houses your mesh, which will always house your mesh. When you say File New, you can select a template. What we use in Unreal is PBR Metal Rough. Then you hit Mesh here, you hit Select, and you go and you find your OBJ or your FBX file. And you hit OK. If you have any textures that you've baked already, you can click Add and add them in here. So let's say we have this mesh, right? And we've already got this window down here. I need to expand up so you can see it. And I need to see obs. Okay, so you've got your 3D view here, which most of the visuals you're seeing. Holding Shift and right click will move the light around. Some controls. Whenever you press Control and Alt or a combination of Shift, you'll see some little tips in the bottom here. Show you how to navigate and move stuff. Wow. I'm like, my undos aren't working, and then they all come in all at once. Okay, so 3D view here. We've got your 2D view here, which is basically your UV set with all the normal information on it. The cool thing is seeing the seeing the light move, and the light is moving on your UVs as well. then you have your shelf on the bottom. This is essentially where everything goes that you're bringing in. So like if you have textures, if I type normal, what would I type? I think I go to all, and then normal, bake, nope. So here's the normal map and the world space that I've brought in. All of the maps are shown on the side here. So we'll get to that. So you've got your 3D view, your UV set, and your shelf. Shelf holds everything: textures, materials, smart materials, smart masks. We'll get into those. Environments. If you go to your environments tab, you can drag those into your viewport, and you can change the HDR that's affecting your mesh. Let's see. I'm like, where? Why am I not seeing this all of a sudden? 2 seconds, guys. There we go. Environment opacity, environment blur. So you can see around the outside. And then when I rotate it, I'm just rotating the environment. The environment's lighting the scene. This is a good way to test out your physically based materials. So you can just drag any of these in and it'll just swap to them. All right, so like Photoshop, we've got layers on the top right here. You can see that it says layers here, and then you'll see base color. This is a little weird at first to get used to, but I'll explain that after we get some layers going. So think about your layers like Photoshop, and you can name these too. It could be like stone or concrete. So down here, you just go to like materials. Actually, let's name this rust just because we have a rust here. Small C, what's going on? How you doing? You know my name. Who are you? You know me. Normally, these layers, you create them. You can create, you can add layers. You can create a fill layer, which is normally what I do. Normally, I'm making a fill layer, clicking that, and then if you click a material, the fill layer becomes that material. So then let's just rename this to rust. Now with that in mind, you can see already the material is pretty awesome. Like this is one of the materials that actually comes with Substance Painter. You can see it's got some roughness information that's happening. Your F1, 2, and 3 keys will switch between these views. So F2 will just give you the 3D. Stephanie, oh shit, what's up? How you doing? Let's see here. Okay, so we've got that. That's pretty cool. This is where we can start talking about this stuff here. So the nice thing about Painter is all of the layers are interconnected and talking to each other. So when I say that, I mean like the normal, the height map, roughness, if it's got metallic channel. So like when you switch between these, you're seeing all the layers that you had before, but you're seeing them with in the view of that layer mode, if you want to call it that. So like if you're in base color, you're seeing the base color. Let's make a new layer, and on this top layer, we'll just paint with aluminum, right? So we're like, I mean, that's pretty cool. We'll just do this. Nice. Yeah, I didn't draw that. What is that? So you can paint directly on the mesh, and you have all of your, you see the brush here, you've got all your brush settings here. So you've got your alpha, you can change the alpha, and we can just stamp things down. That's cool. Copper. So these are all happening in the same layer. Oh, let's see here. How would we? So let's say we're picking this alpha. Just spray that down. You've got your alpha. You've got the hardness to the alpha itself. So if you need it a little lighter, you can You can sharpen the alpha. A lot of controls. So this next part's a little weird. If you look at material, all these are highlighted. So the ones that are bold actually mean they have information in them, or they're turned on. So that one's bold and that one's bold. All these are on. So we'll just turn those off. Wow, there must be some type of serious delay. You guys are reacting really slowly to what I'm saying. So these things you're toggling are basically you telling the brush what to put down. So if I turn all of these off and just say color, it's just going to be painting color. So you can see if we turn to the side, you're still getting the roughness information from the rust under it, which is pretty cool. If I want just to paint the roughness down, now that's the roughness of this plastic gloss that I picked that I'm painting down. So color and roughness, now you're getting both of them. So it's like it's really cool, just having that type of control. And if you don't like the roughness being where it's at, that's when you start getting into the other details of this. Let me pull this up some more. So you see when I turn roughness on, or when I turn any of these channels on, they come with properties that you can use. So we've got our roughness and our color on, and now you get a range from black to white of your roughness. just gonna Bob Ross it. So happy dicks. Happy dicks. So you can change a roughness that is being painted out. Like you see that one's pretty shiny, but as you go more and more white, you get more diffused reflections. Seeing that if you go all the way to the black range, you're basically reflecting at a level that you only see with things like diamond or like really nice paint, which doesn't really make any sense. So with that, let's get into the things that excite me the most about Substance Painter. So we've got our rust, right? Let's bring in iron grinded. So got this material, right? And that's kind of crazy. It's a little crazy, of course. Doesn't make sense for this material. You can go down here to Smart Masks. You can start looking at things that you can do to mask out said materials. So let's put rust on top of the iron grinded. And let's add some surface rust. So you drag that onto rust. And you'll see like it's pretty subtle. Seeing it a little bit up here. But if I turn the layer off, you can see what's happening. Now, with that said, let's look at what this surface rust is doing. So I dragged it onto this layer, which adds this MG mask editor. If you click that, you get all these properties as to what this mask is doing to that layer. So if you alt click this, you get to see the mask that's being generated for the rust. So when it's white, the rust material shows, and when it's black, the rust material is gone. With that, you get a lot of control. One thing to know is the reason that this is working the way that it's working and it knows where to remove and stuff is because of all the maps that it brought in. So you have your normal map, your world space map, ambient occlusion, curvature, and position. Oh, you can't see that on the stream. Go like this. So all these maps I've inputted. The only things I don't have are the ID map and the thickness map. If that confuses you, or you get to this point where you need those maps, we can talk about that in a baking episode about Substance Painter. I'll probably do that on the same episode that I do talking about baking in Modo. Oh, so much to cover. So So we've got this mask information going, and it's all like you can see in the material here. It cuts off a little bit here, but the material is automatically, the smart mask is automatically looking for the maps that you have here. So if it's there, it's going to input it in the right spot and then utilize that mask or that map to aid it in creating that mask. So with that, now you have all this control over like what this is. You can globally invert it, which is really interesting. You could do something like that, which is kind of like an ambient occlusion and curvature pass on the mask. If you alt click the thing, the layer again, not the mask but the actual layer, you can see what it's doing. Super low res. In this texture window, you can change the resolution on the fly. So you can go up and down based on what you need, which is really nice. Like, look at this now. No. That looks delicious. Delicioso. Let's go into this mask again and we'll invert it and see how this is looking. So if you're like, oh wow, I really like it, but I don't like this, like that looks like an error. You can just right click on the mask and then add a paint layer. In that paint layer, you can then paint black or white. So you can just go in. You can even turn that layer off and on. You have like opacity control. It's just so powerful. Oops. So let's add a paint layer. Let's erase that. So let's get in there. Let's make something happen. So we're like, all right, we're gonna erase all this stuff. Like, that's cool. And like, oh, that edge looks like shit. Why does that look like shit? Just paint to fix it. So go to your alpha. Like, sure. From back here, that fixes it. Then you can go back into your mask. You can do all types of tweaking, and like maybe I want the ambient occlusion to be inverted. Maybe I don't. Maybe I want to blur it. Maybe I don't want to blur it at all. Look what it's doing now. Balance. You can shift the range left and right. Alexander, what is going on? Very useful channel. You're too kind. You are too kind. But you can also do this with fill layers, and then just like we were talking earlier, this fill layer has all the channels on. Let's just turn all these off, and we'll give it a color. We'll make it like this green. We'll give it roughness. We'll make it pretty rough. And let's give it a height. So we'll go up a little bit on the height. Then we just right click and add a black mask, so it's gone, right? That adding a black mask happens automatically when you drag in a smart material up here. It makes a black mask and then applies the MG mask editor on top with the settings based on the material that you picked. I feel like I'm giving you guys a shit ton of information. So with that, you can see I'm painting the green, and you can see it's kind of lifted. Now because it's a fill layer, I can select here, and at any time I can shift the depth. So I want it to go down, I want it to go up. Maybe I want to zero it out, or I can turn the height off altogether so that it just doesn't do anything. Let's erase. That, and we'll just add a moss from top onto that. So now we're getting like green on the top. Dude, this thing looks like a horrible like Warhammer painting that I would attempt to do, not knowing what the hell's happening. And it's like this big, so I'm like sitting there trying to make it work. But hopefully this is, this is driving it home. So here's the mask for the moss. Can adjust the contrast, like how much level wise it's happening. Triplanar. Triplanar is interesting because if triplanar is off, this mask is being projected directly onto your UVs, right? So where your UV island ends here and then starts over on another one, even though those edges meet in 3D, the mask will be different between the two. If you do a triplanar, it maps it in world space from 3 different axes. So it'll map it correctly across the surface instead of directly onto the surface. Directly onto the surface. So whenever you get the opportunity to texture with triplanar on, I would strongly suggest doing so. Now that we're making this thing look super ugly, let's just call it good. As far as baking goes, I'll just do a quick glance at it just to tell you where it's at. So where all these additional maps are, you've got a bake textures button. If you click that, you can turn on and off all of the maps that you want to bake. Normal, world space normal. You never knew there was a smart mask? Awesome. I'm glad I showed you something. You can also make your own, which is really good. But I just start with the smart mask that exists. It's Christmas colors, completely unintentional. I'm just in the mood. Just in the mood for Christmas. Need to get me a fake IKEA Christmas tree. Get it set up in the living room that's IKEA small. It'll be good. It'll be good. All right. So we got normal, world space, material ID, ambient occlusion, curvature, position, thickness. If it says high next to it, it requires a Highpoly mesh. You can get your Highpoly mesh in this information right here. So you just hit the little thing, what is that, a little piece of paper? It's like new. So you click that, you'll navigate to your Highpoly object. I just directly export from ZBrush, add it here, call it good. And then I haven't been doing it, but if you're getting a lot of skewing in your mesh, in your like normal bakes, then make sure to say use cage and build a cage that's basically just like an inflated version of your low poly that encompasses the high poly. So say use cage, click this guy, locate the cage, scroll down, everything's good here. You do bake textures and it just applies everything immediately. So let's not do that because it can take some time sometimes. Okay, so do you guys have any questions about Substance Painter before I move on to I'm gonna get my coffee and then go into Substance Designer and just start working on that stone. Got about another hour on stream. I just realized that my clock was not ticking. Yeah, I've got another hour and 4 minutes. You guys have any questions about this stuff? So you're not seeing it. I'll just do this so you can see. So down here, there's the texture settings, which is where you're seeing all this information. Viewer settings, which is where I'm switching environments if I want to do it this way. Oh, that one was kind of nice. Small, super cool. Super cool. How's work? How's life? Opacity of the environment, if you don't want it to like muddy up what you're trying to see, you can turn that up as well and just blur the environment so you're getting some sense of like where you're at. How do you import from designer to painter? Okay, that's a good question. So let's do that, because I actually have no idea. But I have been making the substance for the stone on this, so let's just do it and see what happens. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that you landed. You landed somewhere. Okay, so we have a temple stone that I've been working on, which is this guy. Got like all the maps that we could ever dream of. So we've got base color, normal, roughness, and height. Ben, do you know if, I don't know if Ben's still here, but input or output. To be outputting these maps, like, do you need to actually have the outputs? Super annoying. I guess I don't need to output maps because I just have this material. So if I right click up here, the SBS, I can publish, which will package the material. Let's package that. Okay, so I've saved that. I just found a folder, saved it to that folder. Let's see if I can just drag it in, because I'm assuming that's what I can do. Material. Okay, so if you look in here, I've got a temple materials SBSAR. Go into Painter, come back to here. It's actually materials. We'll type in temple. Is that gonna work? Oh, this is like, how do you want to organize this? Materials? We'll just do it for current session so I don't add it to the bar directly. See if this works. I've never done this. Okay, so we have our rust, right? I'll turn these other layers off. Actually, no, we want the iron. No, it's not being treated the same. Well, I'm gonna have to tell you later. Because it is not behaving how I would expect it to. See, because we have that. Smart materials, stone. Here's C. Explore. I'm like, what is this? Where did you get that standard output in Designer? You talking about this one, the base material? Yeah, PC Zach. If you would like, you should totally link that in chat. That'd be awesome, so everyone else can see. So this base material node, if you just click on the background and hit spacebar, you can just type in base, and that's right there, base material. And then there's not really any, there's not inputs into it, because you have to scroll down to the bottom of this and actually locate the, oh man, this is kind of hard to, I'm like, come on. So down here, you're like, oh, I need a normal. So you click that, you say user defined maps. So you turn on what you need, and then you get the inputs of the ones that you turned on. And you just plug those in, and then you can hold down right click and drag it onto the mesh, and then you will get it applied to the mesh. Good afternoon, homie. But yeah, let me... Winter Wonder? What? Winter Wonder. Very good. All right, let me go get my coffee, and then I'll be back, and then we'll just be in Designer finishing up the the albedo for this to match best in our scene. Look at the scene before. I'm gonna leave it on the screen. Stephanie, it's nice to see you in here, though. It's cool. It's been a while. It's been a long while. Come on, Unreal. You know you want to. So before I go grab my coffee, obviously these colors are not matching right now. These look two completely different materials. They look like they're going in the same direction, but they're just not. They're not the same, right? But if you look closely, it's got more unique details. It holds up closer than, say, this. And what I've done is I've started setting up a material that is tiling. I'll have to walk through how I built this, but essentially I've created functions. So I've got a stone function. That's stone material in function form. I've got a moss material in function form. That's just a color right now because I haven't finished building it out. So I got stone, moss, and then we've got an aging function. And I'm building another shader that encompasses all of those. So we've got our stone function here blending with the baked normal of this. And then I'm like, why is this texture here? This texture is the alpha that interpolates between the stone and the moss. So it's just like in Substance Painter. You're blending using a mask. So in Painter, that's what this button is for. So this button, Export Mask, if I pull this down, you get this from Substance Share when you are using Substance. Hello, 404 volt. So I select the layer that I'm interested in. Let's do this. Discard that. So I've got this mesh, right? I've got masks. So this is a moss mask. So what I can do is select this layer, and using the plugin that exports masks, I can export this black and white and then bring that mask into Unreal. So what I'm doing is bringing that mask in Unreal, interpolating between the stone and the moss, and then bringing it out to a material attribute. And then we're getting this. So the stone has got a normal that matches the stone, and then it's got a detail normal that's even smaller, so that it holds up a bit closer. So in the long run, this will actually look higher res than this stuff, which is good. Which is good. Anyway, okay, let me go get my coffee. I'll be right back. All right. All right. Got my, oh God, sorry. That was probably super loud. Crab coffee. That sounds disgusting. Hey, Fear. Okay, so let's go. We'll close Painter out. We'll close Modo out. We don't need the. I didn't fart. Come on, man. Did he just fart? He's like, oh God. No, I rotated this cup and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, see, now I can't replicate it. This is terrible. I'll just commit to it. Yes, I farted. Yes. Just for you, Reeds. Dude, you guys' meme faces are gold. Okay. Lies. Oh, come on, camera. It's like a portal. Okay, let's go to town on this guy. Is it sharp again? Glorious. Okay, so building our diffuse or albedo over here. This is our normal map converter. Here's our height map. Gets real dark in there. I don't know if I like it that dark. Anywho. That's what the albedo looks like right now. Oh yeah, I noticed that there was things not tiling. So see when I back up, there's like, I don't know what that is, but something is not tiling. It's bugging the crap out of me. I bet it's one of these guys. Well, it's technically tiling. That one. What is that? This. It's this guy. What did I do to him? I probably transformed him non-uniformly. You've been transformed non-uniformly. You have 2 months to live. So in workflow, in the workflow of building this stuff out, I highly suggest that you work on your scene without any information in your albedo. I'm like, wait, what's happening? Just so you can see 3D humor. Just so you can see what you're working on. Oh man, I love coffee. Something's wrong with me. It's so good. So while this looks really cool, I feel like it's really pitted too much outward as well. So like this stuff's good. This stuff's going down, right? But we're also getting details that are coming up, and I'm not really a fan of that. Just because that's not how, unless the stone was originally like that, that's just not how stone materials rest. So we need to look into that, actually. We could do the range, maybe? And just slice the top layer off. I think range does that. I don't even remember. Oh no, range does not do that. Maybe it's levels. That's a little better. There's still details coming up. Dude, Reed's designer's addicting, man. It's an addiction for sure. So we're gonna make this scale of the tessellation really extreme, just to see if anything is coming up. And it looks like it's all going down now if you see it. Everything is just going down, which is good. That is good. So that's how you want the surface of this type of stone. Oh, face melt. I'm sorry, man. Gotta work, though. Work's important. Maybe gradient and put it from black to above 50% gray. That would do it, too. Are you talking about blending a gradient on top of it? Oh, this is interesting. What this is doing. Because I'm pulling the bottom out. It's just flattening the bottom of the normal. Actually, I want to see what that looks like with this on. Because this is probably more along the range of what I'm looking for. Tile's really poorly right now too. Like, I don't know if you can see, like, if you tap space, if you click the viewport here and you tap spacebar, you can toggle between the 0 to 1 space and then just tiling it. So you can get a sense for, like, how stuff looks tiled. So this guy, I'm not really a fan of how it's positioning itself. So double click this guy, click here, spacebar, then click this guy once. No, where's it? The transform. And then just start moving this around to try and get rid of any. That's probably better for tiling. For tiling. kind of wish I could get like a scraping pattern. I'm gonna look up for the next stream how to get this material into Painter, just so you guys see it. What's this one look like? So that's some kind of cool. This would be good for the texturing stuff. It's actually, let's look at the texturing stuff again. See, one really nice thing is I just did all this updating to the height map information, and then I can just plug it in, and it's correct to what I was working on before. Like, how freaking cool is that? Get some noise in there, and then we get this guy. We can use this guy for some color breakup. Man, that tile's like shit. Oh, whoops. Just like, I don't like the texture. Something like tree bark. Yeah, there's some patterns in here that are actually pretty cool. Like this one's actually really interesting. Look at that. It's like microscope. That is some really interesting shapes. I wonder what that would look like. Look at that. It's adding these weird spots. So right now we're just kind of blending between different patterns and shapes to see if we can come up with anything interesting. This one's weird. Let's see what that looks like. So that one's cool. See, you're getting all this like weird breakup stuff. Tile's pretty rough. Probably need to modify some things to make that not tile as poorly. Oh yeah, and then in the roughness, I need to make sure that Whoops. If you ever get this dotted line, usually means that your textures that are being blended together are not the same range. Like as far as like color space type, they either both need to be grayscale or they both need to be colored. So you can fix that by just adding a gradient map, and then just tell the gradient map to be color, and now they're communicating the way you would expect them to. Let's see here. Do like an overlay and maybe lower it. That's an interesting material. Hanzo, Ghosts 2, how you doing? It's blinding. Off topic, how do you handle something really thin, like paper or a feather? Or is it just baked into a card with an alpha map for transparency? So, there is a new way that I would like to do that stuff, at least in Modo, and there's a way to add thickness to a mesh that does not have thickness. And it can be specifically off texture as well. But it really depends. I would say model it with slight thickness to it just so that you get the normals curving around, say, the edge of a feather. But when you bake it out, you bake out the alpha and all that stuff, so it does end up getting cut out, and you're usually putting it on a plane that you've maybe added a couple edges so that you can curve or bend it. I hope that answers your question. So this I actually want to use in the roughness. Now we get some weird play going on the surface, like this stuff here. If I turn all the way off, you can see what's happening. So basically where this information is in the albedo will show up in the roughness ever so slightly as more rough than the rest of the material. You can see it happening a little bit right here. Hey, Matt Johnson, how you doing? I actually wonder if that detail I could get. I want to see what it looks like if I blend it inside of the height map. Before putting it into the normal. Oh god, this is getting so messy. This is one of the best things about Substance Designer is just experimenting. Whoops. What is this? Output, uniform color. That's the normal. God damn it. There we go. Double-sided is based on material you're using support. It's some don't. Yeah, like if you're in, if you go into Unreal and you open up like the shader, right? You can tell it over here to be double-sided. I think that's where it was at last time I looked. It's just called, yeah, right there, two-sided. Yeah, if they're doing that, they've probably built a custom shader that is mapping a different material to the back face. Those cards aren't really flat though, are they? They have some depth to them. Geometric depth. Donna, thanks for the follow. Oh, Stephanie, I didn't even realize you were following me now. Thank you. Subtly adding some normal detail on what my resolution is on this guy. At 2048. This is oh right, I just have to change it here. I don't have to change each one of these. I think I can just double click on the background and just tell this that in the end it's all 2048. And we'll just force it. Perfect. Oh wow. That means I need to reset all these. That's hilarious. Don't do this at home, kids. Everything should be 2048. They need a checker where you can go back like this if you're like trying to debug, where you can toggle on to make everything that's a certain resolution a green square, and if it's outside of that, either above or below, then it becomes a red square. That way it's easier to debug like what things are not working as intended. Oh, that's interesting. I don't have that installed, Substance Player. It's a nice way to look at someone else's Substance without having to open up Designer. Wow, this song I'm listening to right now is horrible. All right. Much better. Sure you guys aren't dropping more stuff in the work in progress. Good. Okay, let's say this out. Oh shit. I just learned something new. That is fucking cool. Did you guys see that? You just right click on this, create output nodes, create nodes for hidden connectors, say no, and it gives you all the bad boys. Wow, that is a really fucking noisy texture. Is it really like that? don't like that. I don't like that. I'll lower that intensity. It's really noisy. That's super awesome though. Aha! I would be a nice chef. It's the best item on the menu, guys. Best item. You will not be disappointed. It is the utmost delicious of outputs. Okay, so we got all our guys here. We need roughness, we need normal, we need base color. We don't need ambient occlusion because the height of this is such a, you know, it's so weak. Height map, if we were doing displacement, we'll look at displacement later when we get to the root stuff. So now that we have all those guys, can we just... Awesome, this is great. This is great. There's this weird artifacting stuff that's happening. I don't know if you can see that on the stream. It's like banding stuff. I think that's coming from this guy. Yeah, look at that. That is super weird. I think instead of doing this blur, oops, we need to get rid of that. Don't do the blur there, but do the blur before. Oh, it's coming in from somewhere else as well. Gross. So this high quality blur gets rid of that noise problem. But where else is it coming from? There it is. This guy. I found you, fool. I found you. Yeah, that noise, you can't have that. What is that? 0.1, get rid of that. Almost. 0.4. 0.3. Okay. Oh, if it was only that easy. If you could just drag the outputs. Because this part always weirds me out. I'm like, alright, well, I want these three. Like, there's better ways to export these maps out than just double clicking on that map and then save the current image as a bitmap. Like, that's just dumb. That is what I'm going to do for now, though, because we don't have time to be dinking around. Alright, so we'll go back in here. That's a little bit better. There's a lot more stuff going on. Like, you got this snaky materials and stuff like that. Like this chunky. These splotches bug me. Cog on the cog icon at the top of the graph window. This guy. Export outputs. Thank you, Ben. You the man. I'll just delete those because I'm just interested in these right now. You the man, Ben. You the man. So if you click that, export outputs. Mmm. Delicious. Wow, you can even export as a DDS. Interesting. Is this my voice? Is my voice too deep? Is it too real right now? What do I look like on stream? Oh, yeah, I'm like down low. If you guys could hear the music that I'm hearing right now, it makes this even creepier. I'm back. Dude, that's sick. Automatically export when outputs change. That's amazing. That sounds really expensive, but Oh, identifiers. Ooh. Okay, hang on. So identifiers, I would usually call that D. The normal I would call N. And for the roughness, right now I'm calling it M for material. So when I go back up to here and I export outputs, it should be preview. This is the naming it will be. Temple. So now I need to name this Temple Stone. So now when I export outputs, it'll be Temple underscore Stone underscore D. But for each one of these, it will change the output. Dude, awesome. Then we'll navigate to this. Materials. Let me see what I have. Temple Stone. Yep. And Targa. Yep. Save all. Okay. Perfect. Progress. We make progress. So these splotches, these big ones, I don't really like those. They're coming from this guy. So the idea, I think, is if I if I actually change the output should automatically save back to the folder. Oh, it's saving as a PNG. Hang on here. There's a targa. Temple D-Stone. Save all, automatically output. Very good. Okay. So I go back here now. Re-import. Those should update. So the moment I mask some info, we should be able to change some things. I had to turn that off. I can feel it in the computer. Max and V-Ray, you badass. I mean, this one's cool as long as I tone down those values. If I do a 2D transform and plug this, oh, not that one, plug this in, and then it's 180. Scale it. See what this looks like. That's a little better. I mean, you still see this, there's a bit of tiling here. Read your earlier message. Wait, are you exporting them as bitmaps exactly? Wasn't on the stream for the start. Okay, so I discovered some stuff which is really exciting. We'll save this, and then I will. So we've got this node as a base material in Substance Designer. Delete those, and I'll just show you what's going on, and then I'll show you what Ben showed me. So if you right click on this base material, you can get a create outputs node. Create output nodes. Create nodes for hidden connectors, and I'm just saying no because I just want the nodes that I'm interested in, which is the base color, the normal, and the roughness. So these guys, I'm just deleting those. So now that we have output nodes, we name the identifiers like what I would name them in Unreal. So roughness, I'm naming M because at work we call material maps. Usually we pack other stuff into other channels of that texture. Yeah. So now we've got base color D, normal N, and roughness M. You click this little cog thing here, and then you export outputs, And then I've set Targa, I set the folder that it happens in, and the material is called temple_stone. So the pattern for the way that it's named on the batch export is temple_stone_ and then the identifier, which is what we name these. So DNM. So when you say save all, re-exports out to the same folder where the other ones are, rewrites over them. So then I just have to go into Unreal and then just highlight these and re-import these. So now those should be re-importing with the new stuff. Oh, Jopi, you put your Roger that. Roger that. We've got 7 minutes left on the stream. I'm talking like a maniac because the caffeine is strong right now. The other thing is, now look at it. It's much closer to what we were seeing before. Oh, we're getting these weird rings though. I don't know about those. Those are really strange. All right, let's look at the stairs real quick and then say yeah. Dude, Matt Johnson, I've been making those by hand as well, and then I said something and Ben happened to hear me. Ben's really good at Designer, by the way. We'll just open the original of this so we can get the full res action. Oh, right, and this is, there we go. Okay, so these look pretty cool. How is it put together? Because I'm assuming that this is like sticking out like that because you're modularly coffee rings. I'm guessing that these are modular because these are going off the side, so maybe you have a set that you keep placing and you're just stretching and moving them around. It really depends what you want to do with these stairs. I feel like maybe they're, the edge here is a bit too rounded. Like they're kind of bubbly, right? Ponky, you can. You can do, you can bring your substances into Unreal. I don't really want to have Unreal sitting there deciding to talk to Substance and generate textures. I don't know. Maybe we'll look at that in another stream because it is a way to do it, for sure. The way that I built the materials though, and how I'm blending full materials together, I kind of want to avoid. I don't know. I don't. Maybe there's not really a good reason. 10 different stair pieces. Okay, so 10 different stair pieces is good because you get a lot of unique detail per each one. But just looking at this, I feel like you could make this with 3 stair pieces and get the same look without having to work as hard, right? And then the other thing is just that this edge might be a bit too rounded. So the whole mesh kind of feels a tad soft, I guess, in the normals. Your moss as well kind of looks like it might be outside of the PBR range, which is that same problem that you were having with your other textures. Let me see if I can... So this might help. Give me a second. I'm gonna do my last thing I do before I go. So if you go to Substance Share, there's a PBR correct texture. It's like a PBR validator. All right, so here's the link to it. Ben's good. Don't let him steer you away. I need to figure out where I save the. Well, you know what? I can just drag it into Painter. Okay, so I'm opening up Substance Painter. Ba-da-ding. So I'm assuming this is what's happening to your mesh. I'm going to open up my guy. side stair piece. What? Give me a second, just mapping some locations. Session, base material, I guess, or no, maybe it's a filter. Maybe it's considered a filter. Yes. Okay. So you have music again. Okay, so we have this mesh, right? Everything is looking pretty good. I feel like what's happening with yours is let's make this do this. So we've got some really green, dark, saturated moss or something like that going on there, right? Maybe it's even like a little weird color like this. Hang on, let me get it. So with the link that I sent you, there's this material. It's like metal rough validate. Just drag it on the very top. Hang on here. Drag it on the very top of your stack, your material layer stack, and it will color. You have some properties that you need to. Hang on, what is going on here? You have some properties that you need to set, like. Are we validating the albedo or the metalness? So we're gonna validate albedo. So you can see red and yellow. Red and yellow pixels mean that is outside of the correct to compared to reality PBR range, or physically based material range. So it is actually physically either too dark or too saturated, or both. To match what you would actually see in real life. Now, what's really nice is you turn this on and off, and you can see what's doing it. So you can see what's doing it, and it's the red area, which we're like, you just start going through the layers, turning them on and off. Like, okay, mud's doing it a little bit. The moss is the primary contributor. So like with the moss off and the mud still on, you're seeing everything is green. So it's validated, or it's valid. So go into the mud layer, turn that back on, go into the mud, pick the color, and then first things first, try moving up the value. So don't move the value up just to get half of that red going away. And then try moving the saturation around to see what's happening with that. If you're going away gray, then it's not the saturation that's the then it's not the saturation that's the problem, it's your value. Because see, if I go all the way down, no saturation, there's still errors. So what you could do is just drop your saturation all the way down and then just shift your value range until you get close to just all green, or just all green. Then turn this off. Turn that material thing off, and then actually start bringing your saturation up. Till visibly the green looks like the green you want. Then turn this back on and make sure that nothing's going outside the range. And you can see it's starting to happen a little bit down here, but don't necessarily need to be perfect. You want to get as close as possible though. So with that said, turn that off. Now my moss material is technically physically correct. And you can do that with the metalness as well, where it can tell you if it's too metal or not. the ranges are incorrect. If your albedo is wrong for the metalness. Hola, Visceral. You came just in time to see me go. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But if we turn this back on and we go and we look at the MOS again, you can see anywhere under this line, you can see that anything under that point is red. You see down here, this is all red. It's too dark, too dark. And then if you go far right, saturation wise, this is too saturated. So you'd have to go up here to be PBR correct. So it's kind of curved. As it goes this way, you have to lift a little bit. So everything under this line basically is not PBR safe. Anything under here, under that line is... You spoke too soon? There's a delay? Oh no. Is that audio delay or just in the video? Boom, 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 boom. So video looks like it's matched with the audio, okay. So it is the video. Perfect. Anyways, hopefully that was all helpful to you guys. I got a little bit further on some stuff, which is good. Let's close that, don't save it. Just the stream. Well, it's a pleasure, guys. I'll see you on a random stream or on Tuesday. Don't forget to follow, join the Discord if you want art critiques or just chat with your fellow artists. We have some badasses in there like Ben Wilson and Matthew O'Halloran. Chris Radsby's in there now. Those guys are all awesome. And I'm in the process of talking to some concept artists to join our little circle for the 2D people that are out there. And you guys were asking about technical art and technical artists and what that means and how that all works. In the works of talking to someone about joining me on stream and talking about technical art and stuff that artists should be thinking about. So yeah, cool. I'll give you the I gave you the Discord link. I'll give you the YouTube link. And please follow if you want to see more. You guys are mostly all regulars. But yeah, cheers guys.